So we are getting ready to rock and roll here. I've been informed the way things are starting here for shootouts is that we are getting each driver a warm-up lap before they take to the track for a full flying lap. So our first driver out on track, young Aiden Nichols in the number 5, out there for his warm-up right now. He's crossed the line and he's already registered a starting time across the line, but that will mean his next hit at the line will be the start of his flying lap. This is the top 10 shootout here in Cadet 12, brought to you by Hydroblasting Kalgoorlie. Young Aiden Nichols, the first one as the 10th qualifier on points after the heat races here in Cadet 12, about to get out. So we pick up Aiden Nichols, starting his first flying lap now. He's done his warm-up and he starts his first flyer. Meanwhile, Xander Edgington is on track and doing his warm-up lap. So we are hot tracking this. We're going to keep a track on how quickly things run through here. And Aiden Nichols in the number 5, Formula K machine. As the first driver to get out there and do it of these top 10 shootouts, he is going to be the guy that's setting an example for everybody else out here. As he comes down into Patrizzi, this will be the benchmark time to beat. And Xander Edgington, the likes of who, is out there right now starting his flying lap in just a moment. Will not have the luxury of watching on for the benchmark here. This is to set the starting grid of the main event for Cadet 12s, and Adam Nichols will click over the line, and it's a 54.428 for Aiden Nichols. Meanwhile, Xander Edgington starting off his first flying lap here. Edgington, after being 9th on points after the heat races today here in Cadet 12s, now on his journey up the pit straight. He has to beat a 54.428 to get it done here. Xander set a warm-up lap of a 56, so he's on a mission to try and go faster here in his timed official lap. As he heads down towards Patrizzi, watch for how late he can get under brakes without running himself out of racetrack at the bottom of the hill, keeping the momentum up through the off-camber section and into the velodrome. Now with a benchmark type to try and beat. You don't want to be the first driver to lose a spot on the starting grid if he can't go as quick, if not quicker, than Aiden Nichols. As he hits the main straightaway, the run down the line, and he hits the stripe. Edgington's time, a 55.131, so Xander will lose out. Mason Whitehead, the next in line, who starts off his flying lap now. Young Mason in this Ricardo Kart, the number 12 machine, working his way up pit straight and trying to set a flyer here. So far, it's Aiden Nichols on top with a 54.428. Xander Edgington with a 55.131. Now it's all about young Mason Whitehead. He's done his warm-up lap. He's on a flyer to try and set a time that'll put him further up the starting grid than where he was on points. He was 8th on points after 3 rounds of heats today. This is the top 10 shootout here at the Terra Mining Dash for Cash at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. And a quick change to the way we run this deal sees them doing a warm-up and a timed lap here for their top 10 shootout. Whitehead down the line, and he hits the stripe, and it's a 53.551. We have a new leader, Mason Whitehead. 53.551 for the number 12 machine. With Zach Casagrande about to start off his flying lap now. He filters through from our camera shot into turn 2. Casagrande in the 84 flat-out karts machine, trying to set himself a decent result here. Hasn't featured in the top 5 yet today here in Cadet 12, but the number 84 is on a mission to try and be on top of the pops right now. As Casagrande makes his way out of Patrizzi's and into the velodrome. It's such a mind-boggling experience to think that you've only got one lap to get this done for these youngsters. And I'm sure Their minds are racing as they try and set that one flying lap that they need to get themselves up the grid. Zach Casagrande across the line. It's a 53.485, new quick time. Casagrande goes the fastest of Cadet 12 so far. 53.485. Our next contender, Zach Metum in the 39 machine. He filters into shot here, coming past the canteen. The number 39 Energy Course Kart making his way around. As he climbs up the pit straight towards the out grid, you can see everyone waiting with bated breath here of your Cadet 12 field, brought to you by Hydroblast in Kalgoorlie. As this will decide the starting positions for their 20-lap final of the top 10 drivers. So anyone 11th and beyond will already be locked in based on their points from the heat races. As young Medem climbs out of Patrizi's and into the velodrome, trying to keep it tight and locked in. A little lick of the curb and a wobble of the steering wheel. He's focusing hard to keep it locked into the groove here. And Medem will hit the main straightaway, drag it down the line, foot wide open as hard as he can. And Medem hits the line. It's a 54.319. So it does not help him, and he will go through to third fastest so far. Behind Zach Casagrande, currently your fastest driver with a 53.485. And it's a 53.551 of Mason Whitehead, a 54.319 of Zach Medem, 54.428 of Aiden Nichols, and the 55.131 of Xander Edgington. Here we go with Michael White now on his flying lap. And with his trademark white painted wheels, young Michael on a mission up the pit straight for his flying lap here. Michael White out of the teardrop. Gets a quick glimpse of the families and friends standing on the outgrid, watching on as he does his thing out on track. And this is his moment to try and take out the top spot here on the starting grid. A little lick of the curb coming out of Patrice. He's going to hurt his momentum though, and he runs it right out towards the gutter, heading into the velodrome. The run towards the chicane, and he filters onto the main straightaway. Michael White down the line and across the stripe. A new quick time, 52.478 for Michael White. Michael White with the new quick time, and he goes to the top in your top 10 shootout. Next up, Graham Bernardi. Now we're starting to get a feel for how things are going. And Graham Bernardi filtering up past the spectating area at the outgrid. Next in line, he has to beat Michael White's 42.479 to stay where he is, coming off of the points following 3 heats of racing so far today. Down towards Patrizzi. It's only one opportunity. You only get one as he hits the velodrome. Nice and tidy on the exit. Doesn't run it too far out to the outside and hurt his momentum. Right up against the curbing all the way around the velodrome. Keeps it nice and straight coming onto the main straightaway. A run to the line, and the time is for Graham Bernardi, 52.504. He loses out. Graham Bernardi loses out to Michael White by 3/400ths of a second at the most here. As your next one out, young Chase Webb was literally 2 minutes ago asking about which RC car he should buy. With what pocket money, I do not know, but now Chase Webb, the reigning West Australian champ, is out on track in his moment to try and snatch the pole spot for the feature race tonight. 20 laps in Cadet 12, brought to you by Hydroblast in Kalgoorlie. And Webb down towards Patrizzi's. Campbell Thompson is out on his warm-up lap with just a couple of drivers left to set a time here through the velodrome. And look how straight he's keeping the kart. Nice and calm at the wheel here, dealing with the bumps through the velodrome. He straightens it up onto the main straightaway, and a run to the line here. He's got the head down and elbows out. Chase Webb goes new quick time, 52.209 for Chase Webb. So Webb now sitting on the pole spot here. Can he be toppled by Campbell Thompson? Or will he lock in a front row start for the 20-lap feature tonight? Here at the Terra Mining Dash for Cash, Thompson in the 51 KF kart, making his way around the circuit on his timed lap right now. Thompson has managed to snag a trio of second place finishes in the heat races so far today, but this top 10 shootout, he is ready and primed to try and maintain his position on the front row of the grid through the velodrome. On his one-timed opportunity to park it on the front row here. Can he get it done? Campbell Thompson runs to the line. And Campbell Thompson does not better. It is a 52.495. Thompson has been knocked off the front row. So far, Chase Webb has put himself on the front row. Our last driver in Cadet 12 to come out and play, of course, with 3 heat wins to his name so far today, Benjamin Hall. He has to beat Chase Webb's time of a 52.209 to park it on pole. He has to beat a 52.478 of Michael White to be on the front row. Anything slower will topple young Benjamin and will put him down the starting order inside the top 10. For your 20-lap Cadet 12 final tonight, here at the Dash for Cash at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Through the chicanes here, a little lick of the curb, might upset the momentum just a little bit, but he's going to keep his foot buried in it. And Benjamin Hall across the line, a 52.261, he goes second. Chase Webb has taken pole for the feature. There you have it. Chase Webb takes pole in the top 10 shootout for your Cadet 12 feature. By the eyeball mathematics, Benjamin Hall second. And then Michael White will go third. Campbell Thompson will go fourth. Graham Bernardi will go P5. And then it's a mix of 53s and 54s behind. That is Cadet 12 top 10 shootout, run and done here. And Chase Webb will start on P1 for the final here in Kalgoorlie. So just a moment, they are to go out here. Greg Van Rompuy, the number 7 Arrow Machine, rolls out on track to be the first man out to try and snatch a solid starting position into their 20-lap final for Tag 125 Restricted Medium. Brought to you by Hammer Engineering. Van Rompuy, he gets the blessing of having the entire warm-up lap with nobody else on the track, so he's out there trying to generate as much heat as he can here. Van Rompuy now on his warm-up lap. Will start his timed lap next time by for the number 7 Arrow Machine. Van Rompuy, been racing since 1989, has returned after a 13-year break, taking a bit of time off to run his business and build cars. He's won a couple of state titles over the years, back in the over 40s class, which is now what we see as the Masters class in 2004 and 2005. He's won the Bob Smithers Memorial, and he's won a couple of club championships. He knows how to get it done here. Can Greg Van Rompuy resurrect the times of old and go back to the top in his class as he starts his timed lap? So Van Rompuy, he's done his out lap, and now it is on the one that counts. The one that is timed. Then he has to set the benchmark at least for Brad to try and get out there and beat, so he can come in and say, all right, son, go get that one. As he heads down towards Patrizi's, nice and tucked into the inside apex, carries good speed into the off camber and into the velodrome, with Paul Hughes out there to start his time lap in just a moment. Greg Van Rompuy is the first cab off the rank here in Tag 125 Restricted Medium. He runs it to the line. Van Rompuy, 50.228. So 50.228 has been the benchmark set here in 125 Restricted Medium. And your next contender to come on down will filter into shot now. Paul Hughes coming into play. Paul is a regular contender in the 125 restricted Masters ranks. Plays sometimes in medium like we see here this weekend, with mediums on offer as a feature category for the Dash for Cash in 2021. Brought to you by Terra Mining. Out of the teardrop, Hughesy keeping good pace in the kart, the 47 Monaco machine. Jumping in the seat, trying to generate a bit of wheel speed, coming off the tighter corners. Hughesy through the velodrome and into the chicane for the final time. Paul Hughes down the line to set his time lap. Paul Hughes goes quicker, 48.990. Paul Hughes resets a benchmark by 1.3 seconds almost over Greg Van Rompuy. As now we pick up Adam Owens, the number 88 Arrow machine, punching his ticket into the top 10 shootout here in 125 restricted medium. Brought to you by Hammer Engineering. As the sun well and truly sets off to the west here from Kalgoorlie at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club for the Terra Mining Dash for Cash 2021. Now Owens trying to open up the corners, flow the kart between the tight stuff. The number 88 machine into the velodrome on his time lap. Trying to make something special happen here in a top 10 shootout. Down the line, Owens hits the stripe. And he does not go quicker. It's a 49.516 for Adam Owens. So currently Owens will slot into second so far, with Brad Van Rompuy now out for blood to try and topple his dad's time. Greg hasn't made it all that hard on him, if you want to be honest, and I'm sure he'll be hearing me standing at the in-grid watching on as his young boy gets out there and gets after that 50.228 time to beat. Brad Van Rompuy. Brad and I used to go to school together at John Septimus Row in Mirrabooka in the early 2000s. We were racing together as well, albeit separated by a category or two based on the age brackets. And it's great to see the Van Rompuy name continue on in the next generation as Brad is out here trying to go one better than his dad could in the top 10 shootout. Head down and he runs it to the line. Brad Van Rompuy, 49.018. So Van Rompuy, Brad of course, doesn't go fast as he misses out by a couple of hundredths of a second. It was a 48.990 from Paul Hughes, still the time to beat here. But Brad, importantly, beats his dad's time. There's your next contender, Matthew Coburn. In this Cosmic Kart, climbs the hill on his timed lap now for 125 restricted medium, brought to you by Hammer Engineering. Before we hit the second half and the top 5 of your field from the heat races so far today here in 125 restricted medium. A symphony of KZ2s warming up in the background here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club as they all try to get as much temperature as they can get into these karts for just one lap and one opportunity to put it on pole here in the final. And down the line comes Matthew Coburn. And it looked like he backed off early, but he still sets a quick time. 48.927 from Matt Coburn is the new quick time. And the new time to beat here. Paul Hughes has been knocked off, and he'll go to second provisionally, with 5 more drivers to run, of course. Christopher Strawn should be our next driver to come across and get into it for his time lap. Strawn. Oh, Strawn has found trouble, and Strawn hasn't set a time lap. Strawn's only done the one lap, and it was a 59.6. So now Nathan Lee is out there, but Nathan is on his warm-up lap. So this is bizarre. Christopher Strawn has not done his timed lap here. So we're following along with Nathan Lee, and we're going to follow him for 2 laps here because he was meant to be doing his warm-up lap while Christopher Strawn was setting his timed lap. Nathan Lee in the 66 comp kart. Lee making his way down the line to start his timed lap here. And down the line, he's on his way to try and topple the top time of 48.927. As Nathan Lee tries to set a time that's going to put him up the order in the grid so far. He was 4th on points. And with a driver around him losing out, he might have an opportunity to stay there. But it can just as easily be your downfall. As he brings it around into the velodrome. Nathan Lee in the 66 comp kart. One of the local boys here from the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club will feed his way off the velodrome and onto the main straightaway. Can he topple the top time? 48.927, the time to beat. Lee runs it to the line. And it is a 48.971. He does not beat the best time, but he goes very close here. So it will still be Matthew Coburn on top here. As our next driver to pick up should be Carlos Del Toro, about to filter through the shot at the canteen corner. Carlos Del Toro feeding in the shot now here. The number 19 West Oz Transport Formula K kart machine for Del Toro, cutting off the inside of the turn at the double left-handers as he makes his way into the teardrop. Del Toro has a long way to fall if he fails to set a decent lap here. He was 3rd on points coming into the top 10 shootout here for 125 restricted medium. Brought to you by Hammer Engineering. He turns in super aggressive into Patrizzi. Del Toro is up on the wheel trying to make it happen. He's bouncing in the seat trying to generate some wheel speed. He's trying to make it happen. Time to beat a 48.927. Bites the curb in the chicane. Can he get it done? Another bounce in the seat and a run to the line. Del Toro gets through, and it's a new quick time. 48.353 from Carlos Del Toro. Del Toro takes pole with 2 more to run. Can he hang on to a front row start? Here comes Brad Smith, the wild one. The 89 Ricardo kart climbing the hill on the pit straight. As Smith tries to upset the apple cart that is the Cutts family. Can Brad Smith park himself on the number 1 spot tonight and lead the way to the lights out start of our 20-lap final for 125 restricted medium into the velodrome for his 1 timed opportunity to start on pole tonight. He looks to the chicane very early before he starts to turn the wheel. Bites the inside curve of the right-hander. Brad Smith down the line. 48.543. He cannot go faster. And the best he can hope for will be a front row start if Cooper Cutts makes a meal of this lap. And your last driver to make his appearance on track here in 125 restricted medium. For your top 10 shootout, here comes Cooper Cutts. As Cooper Cutts, the last driver out here in 125 restricted medium, has an opportunity to make sure he holds on to that top spot. With a hot time, though, from Carlos Del Toro, he has to beat a 48.353 to hang on to the number 1 spot. He has to beat a 48.5 if he wants to stay on the front row. Around the velodrome for his 1-time lap through the chicane. A big bite of the curb there for Cutts. Is it enough on the run to the line? Cooper Cutts hits the stripe. A new quick time, 48.048. Cooper Cutts hangs on to pole. So there you have it. Cooper Cutts goes purple in top 10 shootout and sets the fastest time. He will hang on to that pole spot and he'll start from P1 for their 20-lap feature race tonight. Your second fastest driver, Carlos Del Toro, picks up a front row start here for the final. Brad Smith goes to third with a 48.543. And then Matthew Coburn goes to the second row of the grid with a 48.927. Nathan Lee will drop a spot. He will go to P5 with a 48.971. The big loser out of this one, though, Christopher Strawn. I have no idea what's going on, but Strawn failed to set a timed lap and will go all the way down to P10 after being P5 on points coming into your top 10 shootout for tag 125 restricted medium. And so we are about to get underway with KZ2, brought to you by Terra Mining, as we look out across Eastern Goldfields Kart Club and survey the land. Jason Lecoq will be the first cab off the rank. He will get his warm-up lap first before he starts his timed lap, so expect lots of weaving and slow driving here as these drivers are going to be desperate to generate some heat in the MGFZ Prime yellow tyres. And how is the story for this young fella? Jason Lecoq made a comeback to racing at this event in 2019. Spent 2 years pretty much out of the seat and now makes a comeback again, this time with the Hyperkart and joining the Elite Karts team. Did enough through the heat races so far today to park himself into the top 10, but only just onto P10 from the heat races. And he's the first man out on track to try and set a time and take out a decent qualifying position for your 25-lap KZ2 feature tonight. This is a big show. This is a class that everybody comes to see. It may not be for the West Australian KZ Series, but it's all for the glory and their share of $3,000 in prize money tonight. Lecoq hits the line for his timed lap here in KZ2, and all eyes are on you, my friend. Jason Lecoq in the Hyperkart. Son of the great Brian Lecoq, West Australian karting's voice for many years through the 2000s, along with Brad Cross. As Simon Gwillim gets a push out from the outgrid to start his warm-up lap. Jason Lecoq making his way around his timed lap here. Into the chicane. In the final corners of his timed attempt here, he runs it to the line. He's going to be the benchmark to start us off. Lecoq, 46.177 for Jason Lecoq. Can it be good enough to move any further up the grid here? And charge his way further inside the top 10. Now Simon Gwillim pushed out quite late here. So Gwillim actually will do 2 laps on screen here because he hasn't done his warm-up lap just yet. So the Red Line Oils, KF Kart number 12, on his formation lap at the moment. This guy's won his fair share of West Australian state championships. Won the Senior National Light Australian Championship at Wanneroo International Kartway back at the 2005 Australian Karting Championships. He got caught up in a minor incident during Heat 3, which bent the bumper bar, which he still hasn't bent back, covering the right rear tyre. Now he starts his timed lap attempt. You know what though, his out lap was only 8/10 off the back of Jason Lecoq's timed lap here. So Simon Gwillim, affectionately known in the karting community as Gumby, makes his way around on his timed lap into the teardrop. as we focus on Bailey Gretsch, about to come out to start his warm-up lap here. He's going to come out behind your next contender of Dan Curry, who pushed out a moment ago and is on his warm-up lap right now. But it's Simon Gwilliam making his way onto the main straightaway. The run to the line here for the Red Line Oils KF Kart. Head down, is it enough for Gwilliam? It's a 45.029. New quick time from Simon Gwilliam. Channeling some inner World of Outlaws sprint here. Simon Gwilliam sets a quick time, 45.029 in your Terra Mining KZ2 Top 10 Shootout. And now we wait for Dan Curry to come through. Enter the scene, the infamous black suit, riding on board the number 3 Maranello kart, multi-time KZ Series champion. Bring it on down, Daniel Curry. If he's not winning, he's making some pretty special moves happen through the field. And we'll see if he can make his life easier. He was 8th on points coming out of the 3 heat races so far. If he can hold on to a decent time, he'll have a chance of buying his way into the top 5, because it is uber close here in KZ2. As the 15 of James Mackay rolls out on track for his warm-up lap. Curry down the line, he's bouncing in the seat. Daniel Curry hits the line, it's a 45.500. 45.500 for Daniel Curry. Not good enough to better Simon Gwilliam's lap here. And now he will be at risk of actually losing a spot on the starting grid here and maybe falling back further inside the top 10. Now we pick up the 55 of Bailey Gretsch in the CRG chassis. He's done his warm-up lap. This is his timed lap here as he makes his way through the teardrop and down towards Patrizi's with Corey Minton primed and ready to go. Waiting for the next kart to go through, but it's Bailey Gretsch making his way around and onto the final chicane before the main straightaway. Gretsch buries the right foot into the pedal and runs it to the line. Can he go quicker? Bailey Gretsch only good enough for a 45.985. So Gretsch will actually lose out here, and he will fall behind both Gwilliam and Curry here. A 45.985 from Bailey Gretsch. Not good enough to move him up, and he will go down to P9 at the moment. And next contender, James Mackay from the Lake King Kart Club, the number 15 comp kart chassis, climbing the pit straight on his timed lap here. Has put on quite the display over the years, racing his KZ shifter kart in WA Open Performance, and a regular contender with the West Australian KZ Series. Down towards Patrizi's on his timed lap, trying to generate as much corner speed out of the 15 as he can. Corey Minton on his warm-up lap now. We pick up Mackay bouncing his way through the curbs and onto the main straightaway. Down the line, Mackay hits the stripe. It's a 45.643. So Mackay loses out and he will fall down the order. He will go P8 at the moment. So currently the time to beat, 45.029 from Simon Gwilliam. Can Corey Minton, coming out of semi-retirement after taking some FIFO work and finally getting a chance to jump back into the seat here of the number 13 Willpower kart. Can he elevate his standing? He was 5th on points, even after a fouled plug that failed in Heat 3 today, brought him unstuck and caused an incident at the velodrome. Can he generate a time that will elevate him up onto the second row, if not beyond? Minton down the line, 45.098. He just misses out on the current top time, and he'll park himself up into P6. Simon Gwilliam will move up to P5 at the moment. Our next pickup, Damon Papa Sergio, here in the number 77 Willpower kart, running under Simon Minton Motorsports. Papa Sergio is one that can likely turn on a phenomenal lap if he puts it all together. He's done it before. Since he made his debut in seniors, he built himself a bit of a rep with myself at least to generate some amazing qualifying times that were not quite respective of where he was in the field come heat races, but now is the time to make it happen for Damo. In the 77, Simon Minton Motorsports and Flat Out Karts, Willpower Kart through the chicane, onto the main straightaway. He keeps his foot buried as he bounces across the racetrack. Papa Sergio to line, 45.253. And that is not good enough, but that is the third fastest time so far. And that quick time still stands for Simon Gumby Gwilliam at the moment. He is still the fastest on track, with Tommy Shoe due to come out next. Tommy Shoe should be rolling around in just a moment to start his timed lap here. As he'll filter through now, Tommy Shoe, the bull rider, in the 75 BRM machine. Tommy building a reputation of being an adrenaline junkie, chasing the life experiences. He built a name for himself in his junior years of karting here in Western Australia. Decided to transition to motocross and give that a go. He's ridden in events as high as the Manjimup 15,000, one of the greatest motocross races in the Southern Hemisphere, and made his way back to karting and now running in the top category of West Australian karting in the KZ2 series with the BRM team. And now he rode a bull 2 weeks ago. Can Tommy Shoe set a time? No, he cannot. 45.239. My goodness, these are starting to get really close. 45.239 from Tommy Shoe. And that will be the second fastest time so far. So with 2 to go, Tommy Shoe has locked in a second row start. Now across the line comes Nick Middick. Nick, I believe, went fastest in qualifying this morning. Took out a couple of heat wins in today's running, and he's thrown on the clear visor helmet. I have a feeling that Nick probably forgot to order a replacement visor after the King of the Hills wet weather antics at Hurricane Go-Kart Club a while ago. And Nick running with an alternate helmet tonight under lights here in the number 96 BRM kart. He's the second last driver out. The time to beat is a 45.029. Can he dip into the 44s? Nick Middick to the line. 45.048. Not enough to topple Gwilliam's time. Can you believe it? Simon Gwilliam, from being 9th on points, has parked himself on the front row of the grid. With one more driver to come, Gwilliam has a slim chance of making it to pole in the top 10 shootout here for Terra Mining's KZ2 with that 45.029. Here comes Sam Dicker, the number 72, Simon Minton Motorsports, Flat Out Karts, Willpower Kart of this year's West Australian KZ Series champ. Trying to make the tyres work for him in this one final lap they have to do on these tyres. They all get new tyres for the feature tonight to make them run for 25 laps under lights here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. And Sam Dicker almost sliding his way around the velodrome, got the back end hanging out, ready to join the D1 WA ranks as he runs it to the line. Sam Dicker, a new quick time, 44.938. Sam Dicker hangs on to pole. Sam Dicker on top of 44.9 for Sam Dicker, and he will hang on to the number 1 spot in KZ2. Simon Gwilliam, next fastest from the number 9 driver, coming in with a 45.029. Then it was Nick Middick with a 45.048. Corey Minton with a 45.098. Then it will go to Tommy Shoe with a 45.239. Damon Papa Sergio with a 45.253. Then it goes to Dan Curry with a 45.500. Mackay with a 45.643. Then at 45.985 for Bailey Gretsch in the number 9 spot, and Jason Lecoq will stay P10. So a massive jumble up of the order here in KZ2. Once again, Sam Dicker grabbing the top spot with a 44.938. Simon Quilliam goes to second with a 45.029. Nick Middick will go to third with a 45.048. And then it's Corey Minton in P4 with a 45.098. P5 goes to Tommy Shue with a 45.239. Papa Sergio going to a 45.253 for P6. A 45.500 for Dan Curry will put in P7. James Mackay with a 45.643 will go P8. Bailey Gretsch with a 45.985 will go P9. And Jason Lecoq will stay P10 with a 46.177. And that is a wrap for KZ2 in your top 10 shootouts here at the Terra Mining Dash for Cash here at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Well, good morning and welcome to the RGR Road Haulage Raceway here at Midwest Kart Club up on the hill in Geraldton for the 2020 Patient Sandland WA Kart Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, Swimming WA welcomes swimmers, coaches, volunteers and spectators to the Hancock Prospecting Western Australian Swimming Championship.
This is the penultimate round of the Make Smoke History State Motocross Championship for 2019. We'll kick it off.
You're watching us on forstyle.com.au. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us if you are watching online on the live stream brought to you by Four Style Media.
And here we are at magnificent Sorrento Beach for the Swimming WA Open Water Swimming Series.
Iona Presentation College's intermediate dance team steps into the world of Mary Poppins with a lively rooftop rendition of Step in Time.
And we get things kicked off here with this A final of the women's 100 metre breaststroke.
Has the stroke, nice high stroke rate, nice high hips. You can see why she's one of the state's best as she comes down with 10 metres to go. This race is hers.
Got to be prepared to take a risk. Got to be prepared to look for that opportunity and have a go. Make sure you take those chances.
It's Captain Morrissey's building down the hill. Here comes Dicker! No, Dicker!
In the second place is Hale. A big final lap for Hale trying to get Bragg right in the relay.
Give a huge wave to everyone at home as we end our live stream. We'll see you all back at school.
Kyle Lee started to make a move. This is going to go right down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen.
And almost lost it. He's off the bike.
Christchurch Grammar School, they're going to cross and win the head of the river for 2019.
Let's go, boys. Through the line. Through the line. Easy on. Yes! 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 Yes!
welcome back to racing action. It is the Terra Mining Dash for Cash for 2021 here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. We're on track with the first of 3 feature races under lights tonight. These are the finals for these classes, and they will fight it out for their share of up to $3,000 of prize money spread across the top 3 drivers on the podium under lights tonight here at one of the greatest tracks in the state, the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Chase Webb stole the pole, and will start from the number 1 spot here. Benjamin Hall managed to slot himself into second on the grid here from Michael White in P3, Campbell Thompson P4. Graham Bernardi will start from P5 here alongside Zach Casagrande on P6. Mason Whitehead will start from P7 with Zach Medham from P8. Aiden Nichols will start from P9, and Xander Edgington will round out your top 10. That is how they were sorted in their top 10 shootouts. 1 lap to make it happen here to sort your starting position for the final. Behind them, Gigan Murphy on the 11th spot with Riley Curry on P12, Taylor Trott on 13, and Georgia Woodcock on the 14th spot. For 20 laps tonight, the lights are out and we are racing. And Benjamin Hall gets a good start, but Webb has the inside line. He will shuffle across the racetrack. And the WA number 1, that blue plate number 33 machine of Chase Webb, leads the way here. In Cadet 12, brought to you by Hydroblasting Kalgoorlie. Campbell Thompson slotting into that number 2 spot. He got the better of Benjamin Hall at the start here. Ben Hall dropping back to P3 as they head into the teardrop for the first time. This is a long one. 20 laps of racing, and everyone is scrambling to keep a lid on Benjamin Hall because he's been running away with the heat races so far today. And this is where it could all come unstuck. The elbows are out. This is the final dance here as Michael White gets into P4. And it looks like, is that Xander Edgington moving all the way up to the 5 spot at the start here? We'll check them off as they come across the line on lap number 1. In the books here with 19 to go. Webb your leader, Thompson second, Hall in third, White 4, Bernardi P5, Zach Casagrande in 6, from Mason Whitehead in 7, Riley Curry in 8, Zach Medham in 9, then Aiden Nichols and Xander Edgington falling down to 11 here, Keegan Murphy in 12, Georgia Woodcock in 13, and Taylor Trott rounding out your field here. But Chase Webb has decided it is go time. And he is going to open up the taps here. 7/10 of a second of a gap he's built over Campbell Thompson in the number 51 KF Kart back there in second. The hard charging Benjamin Hall, who won all his heat races today, back there in third at the moment, but it's very early days here in this Cadet 12 final for Hydroblasting Kalgoorlie. If you're joining me, and I hope you're enjoying the show here on 4Star Media's broadcast of the Terra Mining Dash for Cash for 2021 here at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Under lights and up past Canteen Corner for the second lap of racing here. The Cadet 12's fighting it out for $3,000 in prize money across the top 3 here. Chase Webb, he wants the cash to buy another RC car as he leads this one out. Campbell Thompson in second, but here comes Benjamin Hall. He hot laps the race. 52.319 for Hall. Putting the pressure under the back of Thompson, down towards Patrizzi. He's so much later under brakes, is Ben. He's going to have to be careful not to rear end the back of that KF Kart that is Campbell Thompson in front of him. As they make their way into the velodrome, Thompson giving himself a bit of a wide berth, about a foot's distance off that inside curbing. And Hall taking the shorter distance around the racetrack, right on top of the curbing on the inside. This time across. Now Graham Bernardi setting a hot lap of the race. Bernardi goes P5 at the moment. He goes a 52.196, and he's the fastest on track behind Michael White, and closing up to this 4-kart battle fact, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Cadet 12 might have been a bit of a snooze fest in the heats out front, but this is now going to come to be a big race over 20 laps here today. Under lights at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. It's Campbell Thompson. Still hangs on to that 2 spot. He's built himself about a half a kart length of a buffer over Ben Hall last time across the stripe. Despite Hall being about 600ths quicker on the turn of the previous lap here through the velodrome. Like you're underneath the Saturday night lights at a Midwest American Speedway. Your Saturday night oval action albeit we're going the wrong way around the oval. Chase Webb now sets a hot lap of the race. A 51.9 for Chase Webb. And we are operating underneath the times that we just saw in the top 10 shootout. It's taken an extra lap or two, but we are starting to set some really quick laps here. 51.9 from Chase Webb as he leads out an 0.8 of a second advantage over Campbell Thompson, the 51 KF Kart back there in second. Benjamin Hall in the third spot, the number 98 machine from Michael White back there in the 4. Graham Bernardi rounding out P5 in the 46 over Zach Casagrande, Mason Whitehead. Riley Curry from like 12th on the grid up to P8. He's having a great run so far. The number 31, Ricardo Kart, as they're coming up on a little bit of lap traffic already here. And great work from everyone involved to get around that lap traffic, because that even caught us out as they made their way onto the main straight. And Chase Webb lost a bit of ground there. He's lost some momentum. And now here comes Thompson and Hall trying to reel him in up the pit straight. We thought we were going to have a 4-kart battle for the minor placings, but it looks like they are hunting down your race leader, Webb, out front. As they wrap around out of the teardrop and down the hill towards Padrizzi's. It's anyone's game here in Cadet 12. It ain't over till that checkered flag drops as Webb leads from Thompson, from Hall in third. A little gap back to White in 4. Graham Bernardi rounding out your top 5. There is 2 seconds covering your top 5. Only 0.7 of a second covers your top 3 right now. Down the line, 6 down, 14 to go here in your 20-lap feature for Cadet 12, brought to you by Hydroblasting Kalgoorlie. And the fastest of the top 5, that time across, a 52.07 of Benjamin Hall, back there in third. He was the quickest of anyone out there on the track on that lap. It was a 52.3 for Chase Webb. His momentum was hurt when catching up on that lap traffic. But now Campbell Thompson has the bit between his teeth. Hall's made a mistake and he's dropped off the back of the KF Kart here, but Thompson is making huge inroads onto the back of the 33 machine. Can he force the issue? Eastern Goldfields Kart Club is not an easy racetrack to pass on, and it's certainly not an easy one to go too wide, even in cadet karts as they hit the main straightaway. 7 down, 13 to go. Still yet to hit that halfway point. Anything can happen yet here. As the gap down to 1/10 of a second. And it looks like Thompson has just found some monster speed. It was a 51.971 that time across. Webb was no slouch out front, 52.08. Benjamin Hall was a 52.1. He was the slowest of the top 3 then. It was a 52.07 for Michael White. He's buying his way into this fight as well. And if they start fighting in front of him, he's going to be on top of this battle very, very quickly. As they come out of Patrizzi into the velodrome. Wrapping around and keeping the speed up here. Thompson buried under the rear bumper of Chase Webb as they hit the main straightaway again. A little look over the shoulder there for Thompson. Webb is not looking. He goes, if I can't see you, you're not there, as he covers off the inside line down into turn 2. And that time by, we switch it around again. Hall was the quickest of the top 3. 52.05 for Hall. It was a 52.13 for Webb, a 1.0 for Thompson, a 1.4 for Michael White. And the slightest of mistakes, you miss your entry point by a foot, and it's going to hurt you here. As you can see, this gap changes. It ebbs and flows back and forth. Then now Thompson buried under the rear bumper of Webb down into Patrizzi. Gave him a little love tap down the straight just to let him know he's still there. But now Webb gets a better run coming off the off-camber. He breaks away by a kart length through the velodrome. Running down towards the chicane. This is going to be a nail-biting 12 laps of racing. It's 11 to go this time by. And the mums and dads, family and friends are all waiting by the ringside, chewing the nails down to the nub as they're coming up onto some lap traffic here. This can be the decider, but fingers crossed everyone gets through clean. It's the 23 machine of Georgia Woodcock next in line for the leaders, and they are going to try and pull out and go around the outside of Georgia at the teardrop. Your top 3 get through unscathed. In fact, Ben Hall probably got hurt the most there, having a chop across the corner. But now Thompson looking at the inside of Webb on the run down towards Patrizzi. Hall has just driven right back into the fight, and they are glued to Gemper. Dare I say, bumper to bumper here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Webb has the advantage as they hit the velodrome. We're about to hit the halfway point here in Cadet 12. Webb, Thompson from Hall and then White as they hit the main straightaway. Nothing between them here in your Hydro Blasting Kalgoorlie Cadet 12 feature for the Dash for Cash 2021 for $3 grand in prize money spread across the top three, and we are only halfway home. Charging up the hill on the pit straight, Thompson is almost disappearing in the silhouette of Webb's kart as he looks to the inside of the teardrop. That's not where you want to try and make it happen. It can come unstuck so quickly. They slot back into where they were. And somehow Thompson manages to keep the pace, and he drives right up onto the back of the 33 of Webb once again down at Patrizi's. This time by, they come out glued together. They're actually dropping off Benjamin Hall a little bit, and they're leaving him behind by about a half a kart length on this lap. That is all that they need to get a bit of a buffer here. And the number 99 is stuck at the top of the pit straight here in this FA kart. Webb a bit late on the entry into turn one. Thompson has a look there. Can't get alongside him though. And he'll tuck in behind again as they come through the left hand. As he looks to the inside again, Thompson is going to cause himself unstuck because he's going to clip a curb. And now Hall is up the inside of Thompson. Can't get alongside though. He'll drop back into third. That slowed them both down, and Webb has the advantage. All it takes is one little look up the inside and a dab of the brakes to avoid drilling the guy in front of you. And look at what it's done to our race. It has opened it right out now across your top three to the biggest gap we've seen so far, a whopping 3 kart lengths as they head through the velodrome. Webb from Thompson, from Hall, from Michael White there in the 4th spot. Graham Bernardi's been dropped off by this pack. He's 3 seconds further adrift here as they hit the main straightaway. 8 laps to go. Chase Webb doing everything in his power to hang on to this race lead at the moment, but Thompson and Hall are just mathematically quicker. You can see it, they are closing the gap, but it's all about who gets there first. It doesn't really matter about who's quicker at this stage, because Webb has proved it, that he was quick in the top 10 shootout. He claimed the top spot, and now he is defending that. With 8 laps to go, last time across the stripe, the frustration starts to get high. The desperation will start to build, and now Thompson has a look at the left-hander. We have a new race leader. Campbell Thompson gets it done. Out where Angels fear to tread, and the 51 KF kart claims the race lead now. Now what can Campbell do here? With Webb behind him and Hall pushing Webb along up the main straightaway with 7 to go. Campbell Thompson in the 51 KF kart. Tish should just about be passed out on the sidelines right now. Chris will have to have one eye on her and one eye on Campbell as they race it out over the next 6.5 laps here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Campbell Thompson leads this one out here for your Cadet 12 feature, brought to you by Hydro Blasting Kalgoorlie. Look at the gap he's opened up. Campbell is doing a runner, and Benjamin Hall can do nothing but watch because he is stuck, buried under the rear bumper of the 33 of Chase Webb. If they want to catch him, they're going to have to get a move on because Michael White has dropped off the back of this fight. Now he's starting to lose touch with these guys with 6 to go. This time across the stripe, Thompson leads from Webb in 2nd, Hall in 3rd, White in 4, back to Bernardi, running out your top 5 from Casa Grande, Curry, Medham, Whitehead, Edgington, Nichols, Murphy, and Woodcock. The Taylor Trot rounding out your 14 on track. Here in Cadet 12 for the Terra Mining, Dash for Cash. They're closing back up onto the back of Thompson. Webb sat back and took a breather, and now he's got the bit between his teeth and he's starting to work at it again here. A couple of kart lengths separates them all as they head down the hill, and now look what a difference this makes when you're no longer the leader. How much later Chase Webb is under brakes into Patrizi. Thompson, actually the earliest of the top 3 on the brakes down into Patrizi's corner, and they are closing the gap as they head towards the chicane. They get the advantage of having that little bit of extra aerodynamic help by the 51, punching a hole in the air as they charge down the straights. And trust me, these little Vortex Mini Rock engines, they'll take all the help they can get for the 60cc power plants that push these little Cadet 12s along. As now Ben Hall looks to the inside of Webb at the top of the pit straight. Webb tries to hang it out to dry, but he'll go back to the 3 spot. Ben Hall taps on the helmet, says, let's go get him. And the benefit here for Campbell Thompson, this has given him a buffer of a couple of extra kart lengths as they come down into Patrizi. So now Campbell Thompson leads. Hall in second, Webb down to third. Michael White still there back in fourth. He will be there to pick up the pieces if it all comes unstuck, and he will capitalise as we come into the final few laps, making their way onto the main straightaway. 4 to go here for Campbell Thompson out front. Ben Hall in second, then Webb, then White. Past the canteen corner in turn 1. Hall is on a mission. Benjamin is hauling the mail here. He has closed that gap right up as they make their way onto the pit straight. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a late lunge over the course of the next lap or so here as they hit the teardrop. Looks like Chase Webb has just run out of puff a little bit in the closing stages of this final. Maybe had a hot setup on the kart, and he's going to be under the clutches and under pressure from Michael White very soon if he's not careful. And I can see some lap traffic looming a little bit further up the road for your race leaders. It ain't over yet, folks, for your Cadet 12 final through the velodrome and down towards the chicane. This time by, it will be 3 laps to go. 3 more opportunities for Benjamin Hall to make it happen here and cap off a clean sweep of the heats with a win in the feature to wrap up the weekend in Kalgoorlie. But Campbell Thompson knows how to make that 51 nice and wide. And Hall is going to have his work cut out for him here. We're back there in P3. The best he can hope for is these two slowing each other down, and he can get back into that fight. He led valiantly for so long in this race, but it all comes down to these final couple of laps. You have to be there at the turn of that checkered flag when it's waving as you hit the line. And Thompson doing a tiny job of it out front, it must be said. He sat there and he picked his moment as they make their way into the velodrome. You can just feel the inevitable. That Benjamin Hall is stalking his prey and waiting for his moment to make it happen. 2 to go, this time by. For Campbell Thompson and Ben Hall out front. Chase Webb back now, Hall to the inside at turn 2. Thompson left the door open. He's going to try and do it around the outside of the left-handers. He can't get there. Here's the lap traffic now. This is all coming to a head very quickly as the leaders arrive on the scene of lap traffic into the teardrop. Your lead 2 get through. Hall leads from Thompson in second. What can Campbell do to counter? He tags the rear bumper of Hall and it checks up his momentum. Down to Patrizi's for the second to final time. Here in your Cadet 12 final. And they make their way into the velodrome. On their way around to start their final lap, and Benjamin Hall has made a masterful move and making it happen with 1 to go. Thompson is almost off the road on the main straightaway. He's still there though. It's not over yet for Campbell Thompson, as this is the final lap in Cadet 12. Benjamin Hall, the number 98 Flat Out Karts Arrow X5 chassis, leads away for Hall Racing Team. Campbell Thompson right with him in second as they hit the teardrop, but the gap is too much. Benjamin Hall has seemingly made it happen here after being so patient and sitting back there in third for so long in this race. It all comes down to the checkered flag as they hit the velodrome for the final time. And wrapping it around, Campbell Thompson couldn't do anything about it. He was practically a sitting duck, and Chase Webb back there in third will pick it up on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Your Dash for Cash winner, Benjamin Hall. Campbell Thompson home in second. Chase Webb on the podium tonight in third. Michael White in P4, and Graham Bernardi rounds out your top 5 here in Cadet 12, brought to you by Hydroblast in Kalgoorlie. Benjamin Hall, you are the Dash for Cash winner. Tell me, going through your mind when you got pipped for pole in the top 10 shootout to sitting back there and waiting all that time in third, did you think you could win it the whole time?
There was some chances where I couldn't win and some chances when I couldn't win. And I just had to pick my moment, and in the end it paid off.
Mate, congratulations. You picked your moment beautifully and you made it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Benjamin Hall, your Dash for Cash winner here in Cadet 12. That was an amazing race. We got two more coming at you tonight. Tag 125 restricted medium heading out on track right now as we get into another 20-lap feature race here from Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. We're going to turn and burn and get straight back into it. Tag 125 restricted medium. Out on track and getting ready for their big dance. And it's Cooper Kart who managed to hang on to the pole spot here, taking the fastest time in your top 10 shootout. He'll start alongside Carlos Del Toro on P2. Brad Smith on P3 from Matthew Coburn on P4 over Nathan Lee, Paul Hughes, Brad Van Rompuy, Adam Owens, Brent Van Rompuy and Christopher Strawn. Your top 10 is on. No, Del Toro into the side of Cooper, cuts at turn 1. He somehow rejoins and only loses a few spots. That is not how you want to start things off here. We've got a couple more off at turns 2 and 3 with a big scrimmage, but it looks like it is Coburn up into second. Brad Smith in third, Del Toro P4 here in this opening lap of their 20 lapper here. The Tag 125 restricted medium brought to you by Hammer Engineering. And Matthew Coburn bouncing across the corner here in the number 26 machine as he tries to maintain the corner speed and close the gap to Cooper Cuts out front. They need everything they can get to try and close this gap to young Cutsy. Man, oh man, Del Toro got so lucky at the start there. The number 19 West Oz Transport Machine turned in and found Cooper Cuts was right there the hard way. And they battled all the way through the corner and cut sides. See how much dirt and dust has been dragged through the corner by all the off-track antics further back in the field on this opening lap of racing. Christopher Strawn with lots of work to do there. The number 24 KF Kart Machine, after having no breaks in his top 10 shootout run, he did not set a flying lap time, which was the reason why he fell all the way back down from 5th in points coming into the top 10 shootout. Strawn ended up out of P10 on the starting grid here. There's no double or nothing. There's no safety on the bet. You make the top 10, you have the chance of losing it all and going all the way down to the 10th spot. And that is exactly what happened to Christopher Strawn here. He has lots of work to do. As we watch Matthew Coburn just cut the inside of turn 1 in half. So much sparks coming out from behind that number 26 machine at the moment. And I wonder is actually something dragging on the kart, because that is sparking its entire way around the circuit right now. Coburn hanging on a second in front of Brad Smith and Carlos Del Toro. Meanwhile, Cooper Cuts out front, the number 16 BRM kart, stretching things out here. As young Cooper attempts to lead the way for the 17-year-old in 125 restricted medium. Led to believe this will be his second last race in the restricted ranks as Brad Smith sails up the inside of Coburn and grabs the 2 spot, looks behind and realizes how much work he now has to do to close up to the back of Cooper Cuts. The gap sits at 1.9 seconds as now Del Toro does the same. There was a big sense of urgency about both of those moves. They knew they had to make them stick and make it happen without any chance of Coburn countering, because they want to get forward in the field and try and chase down Cooper Cuts. Right now, this isn't about sitting back and consolidating the position you have. This is about racing forward and trying to catch that annoying little orange thing out front that is in the form of young Cooper. Because all day long, he has been beating them, and they want to have one up on him to wrap up the night here. It was $3,000 up for grabs for the Cadet 12s. There is $4,000 up for grabs here for your 125 restricted mediums, and $6,000 up for grabs for KZ2 tonight. That is a big one. 6,000 reasons to make that move happen and to turn it up to 11 and give it everything you got tonight here at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. For the Terra Mining Dash for Cash here in 2021, we follow the battle for second and third. Brad Smith and Carlos Del Toro fighting it out down towards Patrizi's again. The gap last time by to Cooper Cuts, they're still hemorrhaging time. 2.2 seconds to gap from Cuts back to Smith. It looks like Del Toro is actually quicker. He's just being hurt right now by being behind Smith. So Del Toro needs to find something to close the gap as Smith looks around. Del Toro drags it up the inside. Smith does go over and under. I mean, you think you learned your lesson the first time around. You're going to do that to Brad. He's going to over and under you. You need to stab the brake mid-corner and check it all up. Because otherwise he's just going to have you back. And look, you're back where you started now and losing time all the while on Cooper Cuts out front. 2.7 seconds to gap last time by across the stripe. Cooper Cuts now running down the laps. We are 5 down, 15 to go. Last time by here in Tag 125 Restricted Medium, brought to you by Hammer Engineering. As we go further back behind for P5 and P6, this is Paul Hughes and Nathan Lee fighting it out here as they hit the main straightaway. Hughes had a great run in his top 10 shootout, went from the number 9 driver in the field to go P6, and now Lee fires one up the inside. Lee ended up being from P4 to P5 in the top 10 shootout, lost time and has fallen behind Hughes in some stage in the earlier portions of this race. Now Lee finds himself in a chance of driving forward here. He dispatches a Paul Hughes behind him and drops him off to P6 here. Nathan Lee up to P5. Meanwhile, we've picked up on this battle for second. Still Brad Smith holding on to the spot from Carlos Del Toro in third. Behind him is Matthew Coburn in the 26. Sparking his way around the track as Del Toro and Smith into each other. Del Toro trying to replicate the move that Smith put on Coburn a moment ago, and Smith was having none of it. Smith rejoins but loses the spot to Del Toro in the drag down the main straightaway, and is now back into the clutches of Nathan Lee and shaking his head in frustration. He turns in at the top of the teardrop, just like Nathan Lee wasn't even there in the 66 comp kart. And now Nathan Lee, he smells a bit of blood in the water. He can sense that he might have a chance here of making it into the top 3 and taking home some cash tonight. If only just he can close the gap to the back of Brad Smith. And it's going to take a lot here, because behind them sits Paul Hughes, Brad Van Rompuy, Christopher Strawn, Adam Owens, and Greg Van Rompuy. Rounding out your top 10 as they roll down the line. Meanwhile, Cooper Cuts. We haven't talked about him very much here, but he's hot lapped the race to a 47.7. He leads by 5.5 seconds. Young Cooper Cuts at 17 years of age, on his way to winning a big cash prize tonight if he can take out the top spot. We follow the battle for the minor placings. Nathan Lee back there in P5. Paul Hughes in 6. Brad Van Rompuy in the 7. Christopher Strawn in the 8 spot. From Adam Owens in 9 and Greg Van Rompuy in the 10. Matthew Coburn He got lucky with the incident between Del Toro and Smith and sailed on by to grab second again. Now Carlos has to do all of that masterful work again to try and pick up the number 2 spot on the road with little to no chance of catching Cooper Cutts out front to the margin of 5.8 seconds. Cutts is that little orange speck you can see disappearing off into the night sky here in Kalgoorlie, or flashing across your screen with that orange and chrome on the BRM kart. Matthew Coburn, and that is still sparking underneath that kart. There is something dragging on that go-kart that is sparking its way around the track. I mean, it's a great distraction to the drivers behind you as he sparks and showers his way around the circuit here. It's like 80s and 90s F1 with the tungsten carbide blocks underneath the cars, or even late 1920 F1 where they started to fit the blocks back under the cars to bottom out at high speeds. Gotta love a bit of fake theatrics in F1, and something hanging off the bottom of Matthew Coburn's kart, I'm sure of it, dragging its way because it's sparking down all the straights for the number 26 machine, but he's still hanging on to second here. Just ahead of Carlos Del Toro back there in the 3rd spot as Cooper Cutts leads out 6.5 seconds. I mean, last time Cooper Cutts 47.9, Matthew Coburn 48.3. Meanwhile, Carlos Del Toro 47.9. Now Matthew Coburn 47.9, that time across Del Toro up the inside. That was a late move. The old hip and shoulder to get Coburn out the way. And now Del Toro has second. But I think he's just gone and painted a nice big target on the back of the number 19 machine for Matthew Coburn to aim towards. As they head down towards Patrizi, it's Del Toro now, up into the 2 spot. Coburn drop back to P3 with Brad Smith behind in P4. Then Nathan Lee rounding out your 5. We're into the second half of the race. It was 9 laps to go a moment ago. It'll be 8 to go this time by as Cooper Cutts already clicks that one over. Carlos Del Toro checking over his shoulder as he goes down the main straightaway. That time he gave away another 0.8 of a second to this man, Cooper Cutts on screen, the 17-year-old. He's only been racing for, get this, 8 months, is young Cooper Cutts. The son of Terry Cutts, of course, winner of Cricket Boys Shootout. Very well esteemed behind the wheel of a sprint car. Knows how to get it done and is now passing his knowledge on to young Cooper. He's making it work to his advantage right now. He's got plans to move up into X30 class and even run some KZ2. And I'm sure the boys at BRM will look after him as he transitions through the ranks. Cutts was 3rd at the WA State Championship this year. Pole at King of the Hill, pole at Coastal Classic. He lapped a whole field of karts down at Bunbury City Kart Club. And most recently ran 2nd at the City of Perth titles for 2021. Cooper Cutts now on his way to that, just that sweetest tasting, that big win that you want to put to your name. With 6 laps to go, this time across the line, Cutts is about 5.5 kilometres from tasting that his share of that $4,000 in prize money up for grabs for tag 125 restricted medium tonight. As we follow along, Carlos Del Toro leading things in that 2 spot from Matthew Coburn back there in 3rd. Brad Smith in P4, Nathan Lee rounding out your 5. It's rather processional behind them. Big gaps between each and every driver as they roll around the circuit. But it's all about Cooper Cutts out front. And we pull back the camera to try and capture everyone. We still can't get Cooper Cutts in the shot because he is like 7 seconds up the road right now. In fact, 9 seconds up the road is Cooper. He still clicks off those amazing quick laps at 47.8 that time by. He's circulating Only 2/10 off his hot lap of the race is Cooper Cuts. While he leads this one out, it was 5 to go. Last time across the line for Cooper Cuts. As we continue racing into the night sky here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club, we keep catching shots of Carlos Del Toro, hard at work, trying to just hang on to that 2 spot. Over Matthew Coburn, who's still hanging on to a podium while dragging something around the track that is sparking its way from underneath that go-kart back there in 3rd. Brad Smith might have more to say about this in the 4th spot, and it might come down to more tonight. After that incident between Del Toro and Smith down at the chicane. The 17 of Rhett Parry making his way down the main straightaway, about to go a lap down to Carlos Del Toro and Matthew Coburn. Rhett's already gone a lap down to your race leader, Cooper Cuts. You can just see him flashing across the frame. I'm very invested to know what is sparking underneath this 26 of Matthew Coburn's kart. As Cooper Cuts continues to lead the way, way out in front in that number 16 BRM chassis. As we follow them, they're now putting a lap on Rhett Parry as they bring their way into the velodrome, and Cooper Cuts down the line. Goes 2 to go. The number 16 BRM kart looking at piling on a 10-second plus runaway win tonight. He's out to 9.8 seconds over the field. He wants to make it into the double digits. And look how smooth he is at work. He's not hacksawing at the wheel. He's not weaving all over the place. He drives with such certainty, precision at the wheel. And that's why he's able to throw down laps that are consistently 2 to 3/10 of a second quicker than the next guy back over the course of the race so far tonight. Cooper Cuts on a mission here as he brings it down the velodrome for the second to final time and down the line to collect the last lap board. 1 to go here for Cooper Cuts. Drops a wheel off coming onto the main straightaway and just corrects himself a little bit as he's 1 lap from home here. 1 to run for Cuts out front. That number 16 BRM machine of young Cooper with a 17-year-old on his way to what I believe is his first big win here in WA karting. He's been on pole and he's won some races before, but this is a real big one for Cooper Cuts, taking out some big prize money here at the Dash for Cash. Around the velodrome for the final time. Bring him down, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for your 125 restricted medium winner, Cooper Cuts. Wins the Dash for Cash in 125 restricted medium, with the night sky separating him and Carlos Del Toro back there in second. We'll check the official times when they finally cross the line. 10.7 seconds. The margin of victory for Cooper Cuts out front, Carlos Del Toro in second. Matthew Coburn on the podium tonight in third, Brad Smith in fourth, and Nathan Lee rounding out your top 5. This is Tag 125 restricted medium, brought to you by Hammer Engineering. Cooper Cuts, a runaway win under lights. Did you ever have any doubt that you were going to be able to take out the top spot in 125 restricted medium tonight?
Well, once I put it on pole for the shootout, I felt reasonably comfortable because of the 3/10 gap that I had. But, you know, I just had to keep my head down. That's all I did, and I was fine.
Now, without incriminating yourself, tell me about turn one. What went through your mind when you made contact there with Carlos?
Not a lot, to be honest. Well, I knew that I had to get the start. Nothing bad was meant by it, obviously. But yeah, I just knew that if I got that start, I would be fine for the rest of the race.
And a runaway win to boot it off. You've got to thank some people for tonight's efforts to get you as the Dash for Cash winner here in 125 restricted medium.
Of course. Firstly, my dad, Kart set up all weekend. Kart was great, obviously. Sponsors, B Firm Energy, Shusha Holdings, Mr. Pashy, Batros Electrics, TRP Truck Parts, Troy Butchers, Ace in Perth, and Mills Drainage. Finally, Nashararo, he thanked me in his speech at City of Perth, so I thought I'd thank him. Why not?
Mate, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Cooper Cuts, your 125 restricted medium Dash for Cash winner here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Well, it is time for that final race of the night. KZ2 brought to you by Terra Mining as they get ready on track to rock and roll. This is a 25 lapper to try and stake their claim to their share in $6,000 in prize money, I believe to be spread across the top three here. $6 grand up for grabs. Doesn't take a genius to think about it. It's $3 grand for the win, 2 for second, 1 for third. I may be wrong. I've been known to be wrong many, many times before, but we have been advised $6,000 across the podium tonight here in KZ2. Sam Dicker on the pole from Simon Gwilliam on the 2 spot. Nick Middick on 3, Corey Minton on 4 from Tommy Shue, Damon Papa Sergio, Daniel Curry and James Mackay. Bailey Gretsch will start from the 9 spot, and Jason Lecoq will start from P10 as they get given a wave around and sent around once again here. Behind them, Scott Mackay on P11, Joshua Byrne on P12, Daniel Trow on P13, Courtney Goff on 14, Paul Pedrotti on the 15 spot, Melinda Sully on 16, and Connor Roth rounding out your 17 starters here in KZ2. The man to beat, Sam Dicker, so far. He's only claimed 1 heat win against his name. However, he put it on pole in the top 10 shootout and claimed the only 44-second lap, a 44.938 in the top 10 shootout to put himself on the number 1 spot. The lap times are going to be very different here as we have all been given the opportunity to throw a set of sticker tyres at it for the final. There's no tyre games. There's no opportunity for a driver who didn't finish a heat race to charge from the rear of the field and put it in the podium. Everybody gets a fresh start, and that means an equalised field as far as the tyre game goes. And that's the big one. The addendum to the event allowing a second set of tyres to be used for the final gives everybody the chance at having a big run in this 25 lapper. This is the pro class. KZ2 brought to you by Terra Mining, lining up on the starting grid and getting ready to rock and roll. There is a few missing from the grid here. The yellows are out. We are set to go. Reds are lit. And we are away for KZ2. 25 laps on the board. Dicker gets away from the pole spot. Brilliant tries the over and under. Up the inside of Nick Middick. That's going to bunch them all up. And here comes Corey Minton. Trying to do it the hard way around the outside and the left-handers. He's going to get shuffled around by Tommy Shu, who puts him back to where he was. Damon Papa Sergio back there in the mix as well. And a big shuffle through the midfield, but it's Sam Dicker leading the way early here. Simon Gwilym made a genius move up the inside at turn 2 there on Nick Middick and put him back to the 3rd spot. So Middick back to 3 now. Tommy Shu to 4 as they come out of Patrizzi for the first time. Gwilym in that Redline Oils KF Kart going to P2 here. Fresh tyres might just be the difference. No longer do you have to play the game, but look at the gap that Sam Dicker has as Middick fires it up the inside at turn 1. Gwilym does the over and under again. How many times is Middick going to have to learn this lesson? And that's going to bunch them all up, and his teammate Tommy Shu, the bull rider, is hot on his heels right now. And Corey Minton and Damon Papa Sergio right there with them too. It's a 5-kart battle back for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th on the road as Middick up the inside coming out of the teardrop. Now puts Tommy Shu all up the inside of Simon Gwilym at Patrizzi. There's no chance for a counter here, and Tommy Shu will grab the 3 spot. Gumby back to P4 now. Meanwhile, Sam Dicker is just romping away with this one. This is going to take a big effort to catch Dicker tonight as he leads away. Nick Middick into that 2nd spot. Now Tommy Shu into P3. The gap, 1.8 seconds from Dicker back to Middick. The damage might already be done here, even though it is a 25-lap race. And race fitness and kart setup is going to come into play. There's a lot to keep an eye on here. Trying to drive their way forward in this one as well. Corey Minton and Damon Papa Sergio, 5 and 6 on the road right now. Trying to push their way forward as they come out of Patrizzi's. Wrap around that off-camber left-hander into the velodrome and bring it down to the chicane. It's Dicker, Middick, Shu, Gwilym, then Minton, your top 5. Papa Sergio, Lecoq into the 7 now. James Mackay in 8. Bailey Gretchen 9. Daniel Trow rounding out your 10. Daniel Curry now up into the 10 spot here. I wonder what happened to Curry. He was out of position, it seemed, at the start because he should have gone to P7 on the starting grid, but there was a vacant spot there and he rejoined in the back. Dan Curry, he is the kind of guy who would cross me as, I'll go to the back for fun, sir. But he certainly made life hard for himself. He's back up to P10 now and making it work for him. As we follow Corey Minton and Damon Papa Sergio into the velodrome. They're 5th and 6th on the road right now. Behind them, Jason Lecoq in P7 from James Mackay, Bailey Gretchen, Dan Curry. But here's your leader, Sam Dicker, flashing across the screen from Nick Middick and Tommy Shu behind them. The BRM boys, and that gap stays 1.9 seconds, the gap out front. Have to keep an eye on this as the laps wind down. Now Minton and Papa Sergio starting to put some pressure onto the back of Simon Gwilym here as they head down towards Patrizzi's. The Redline Oils number 12 KF Kart of Gwilym trying to just hang on to it here. He needs to be somewhere near the front to pick up the pieces if it all comes unstuck. You want to stay in the fight for as long as you can here. It's like stage racing. You watch NASCAR and they go through stages. You just have to be there at the end to pick it all up because it can all come undone very quickly. At the moment though, Sam Dicker wants none of that, but Nick Middick is closing up the gap. He brought it down to 1.7 seconds last time by. Only marginally quicker. It's a 44.3 to a 44.5 of Dicker. Compare that to the 44.938 that Dicker threw down in the top 10 shootout. Or even compare it to their qualifying time for KZ2 that they put down in this morning's session. And the top qualifying time for Nick Middick, who took the top spot, and $100 for his troubles, a 44.408. So we are under lights on a rubbered-in racetrack here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club, and we are running underneath the qualifying times set this morning here in KZ2. It's a 44.341 for Nick Middick, hot lap of the race. as he just threw down a 3.50. Dicker with a 4.74, and the gap comes down a little bit more. 1.6 seconds the gap now. And this isn't anything like Formula One. Get within a second and it's yours. You got to get within a couple of tenths to make it happen here in KZ2, especially around the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club here. But at the rate of a 1/10 and a half a lap, if he can stay consistent for Nick Middick, he might be able to bring that gap down to something manageable within 10 laps or so, which would still give Middick 8 laps to make something happen here. So it's certainly not out of the question as the gap goes to 1.5 seconds. Dicker back to Middick. You can see the difference in the attitude of the karts. Dicker and Middick sliding their way, four-wheel drifting under brakes at the top of the pit straight. We get that great shot looking down the hill from the top of the arc grid. You see the difference in behaviour to the karts behind them. See if we can catch it next time they come by. We follow Corey Minton at the moment, hanging on to the 5 spot, just ahead of Damon Papa Sergio. Behind him in P6. Sam Dicker past the canteen corner. Nick Middick in hot pursuit. This time the gap down to 1.35 seconds as they come around onto the pit straight. Look at the movement of the kart under brakes. They're sliding under brakes and just leaning in the kart to get it turned in. Trying to do minimal work with the front end and trying to get the kart to rotate on the way into the corner so that they don't end up overloading the front tyres and run out of rubber into the corner to get the kart turned. And at the same time, they can drive off the corner nice and straight so they don't overload the rear tyres by lighting them up through the corner. It's all in the knack of driving a KZ kart. And from my perspective, all by observation on how they drive these karts compared to other classes, using the same tyres as what's used in the Tag 125 light and heavy classes. It's a much, much different driving style. You're pointing the kart into the corner and pointing it out and jumping on the noise, keeping it relatively tight to the apex of the corner compared to flowing the kart across the corner and trying to keep the corner speed up. You've got gears in these things. You don't need to keep the corner speed up and keep them strung. As Nick Middick brings the gap down to 1.29 seconds last time across the line. Off the back of Sam Dicker out front. The gap expands back to Tommy Shu in the 3 spot. 2.7 seconds from Middick back to Shu here, 2nd and 3rd. Tommy Shu hanging on to this spot from Simon Gwillim behind. Gwillim marginally slower at the moment. Tommy Shu lapping in the 44.7s, Gwillim in the 44.8s. Losing out to a 3.5 of a second deficit is Simon Gwillim. The battle behind them though for 5, 6 and 7 on the road. Minton, Papa Sergio and Lecoq all nice and close together here. Jason Lecoq in his debut in KZ with the hypercart up the inside under brakes into Patrizzi's. Jason gets it done here, the number 80 hypercart. Lecoq gets it done and picks off Minton for P6 on the road. He will set his sights forward now on Damon Papa Sergio. The super cool air conditioning, number 77, Simon Minton Motorsport prepared wheel power kart. As they climb up the pit straight, this battle for 3rd still going on as well. Tommy Shu and Simon Gwillim. There's multiple battles going on around the track right now as Nick Middick has the leader gap down to under a second. It is 9.6 of a second with 14 laps to go here. And that all happened in the opening 2 laps. That's how much of a lead that Dicker was able to put on from the pole spot here. And catching out Middick, who needed to fight off a very aggressive starting Simon Gwillim from the outside front row of the grid. Middick brings it down to 7.6 of a second. That's a big change in the gap that time by. 0.2 of a second, probably the biggest margin he's chopped out of Dicker's lead for some time. You'd have to think though Dicker is just sitting there and waiting to get within a few tenths of a second, or get Middick within a few tenths of a second before he opens up the taps and uses up the tyre a bit more. With the gap that he has, he is making Middick work for it. We catch your leaders. Now we can cap them in the same shot here. Down the line, up towards the canteen corner. This time by less than 0.6 of a second. Midic takes another chunk out of the time that Dicker has out front. It's a 44.8 for Dicker, 44.6 for Midic. Tommy Shoe back there, lapping on pace with Dicker right now, hanging on to that 3 spot and then opening up a gap over Simon Gwilym in P4. So Tommy Shoe, the bull rider, grabbing life by the horns and hanging on to P3 from Gumby right now. But this is the fight for the lead, and Midic is doing all the hard yards to close this gap to Sam Dicker out front. And Sam's no slouch. He's not stupid. He will know Nick is coming for him. And you watch for the cheeky look over the shoulder through the corners. Dicker will keep an idea, keep tabs on him as the gap comes down to 4.5 of a second. It's starting to build to the final 10 laps here. It was 11 to go. Last time across the stripe here for Sam Dicker out front and Nick Midic in second. These two have been here many times before. Great mates off the track, great rivals on the track. They'll give everything they have to beat each other to the line, and they'll do it clean as well. Dicker and Midic down to the chicane and onto the main straightaway. What's the gap this time by? It was 4.5 last time across. This time it comes down 3.3 of a second. Midic is taking literal chunks out of Sam Dicker's lead right now. And within the next lap or two, he's going to be right within striking distance to make something happen. It's just a matter of whether he chooses to go now and not look back, or he chooses to wait for his moment in the closing laps. And the clinic, the likes of which Ben Hall put on recently in Cadet 12 to take the win tonight, might be an indicator. As they bring it around the velodrome, this is the race for the win here. For the lion's share of $6,000 in prize money, Midic is on Dicker's heels, and he knows it now. Dicker has a big glaring attempt at looking over the shoulder. He starts to go a little bit tighter into the hairpins to cover off that inside run. Now he's got Midic on his heels. He has to cover it off. Midic has a little peek to the inside, but Dicker fakes him out right in the middle of the racetrack at the top of the pit straight. And we are 9 to go. Last time across the line, it's Sam Dicker, the reigning West Australian KZ Series champion, up against Nick Midic, doing everything he can to unseat the king and take out some prize money here at the Dash for Cash for Terra Mining here at Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. Down the line and 8 to go. Big bounce across the curbing for Nick Midic through the chicane that time by. And you can see in the body language, Dicker is starting to hustle a little bit more. He looks a little less comfortable in the cart suddenly. And you can feel Nick Midic's presence breathing down his neck. Midic just has to wait for his moment, show a nose here and there. And he really doesn't want to show his hand too early because he knows Dicker will be all over him again in a counter move, and it could spell disaster. A, they could come together. B, they could slow each other down and bring Tommy Shoe and Simon Gwilym into this fight. Let's face it, they're selfish. They want to take it out on the top step tonight and give it a red hot go, but Dicker managing to open up a bit of a gap that time by. It was a 44.92. Midic actually a 44.90, so he closed it down by the slightest of margins. 1.9 of a second between them with 7 to go last time at the line. It's like a 100-mile-an-hour chess game you start to play with a 125cc 6-speed sequential pro gearbox kart, trying to figure out what your opposition is thinking and what they're going to do, where they're going to go. Midic is right on him now. Surely he has to have a look sometime soon and dive up the inside. But Dicker is making that 72 machine nice and wide for him. He's not going to make it easy. The flat-out kart's willpower machine now on the defensive as Midic up the inside. He gets it done on the pit straight. Neither of them willing to yield, and Nick Midic grabs the lead. Now Sam Dicker, it is his turn to try and counter and see whether he can really turn it on. This will tell the tale whether he's got the go-kart underneath him to make it happen. in the final stages here. It was 5.5 laps to go for Middick to make the move. Now he has to have 5.5 laps of stressful perfection. He needs to nail every apex, every corner, every shift of the gearbox to make sure he holds out this gap over Dicker. Otherwise, he is going to be under fire in the closing stages and lose out his grip on the lion's share of the prize money tonight. As they hit the teardrop, it was 0.4 of a second between them at the line. Middick v Dicker. Shoe back there in third, Papa Sergio in fourth, William rounding out your 5. From Lecoq, Gretsch, Curry, Byrne and Goff your top 10 over Connor Roth and Melinda Sully. Your only remaining drivers still in the fight. It's been a bit of a race of attrition behind them. As I missed out what happened with Daniel Trow, Corey Minton and James Mackay all losing touch in the race a few laps ago. And last time by, Middick opening up the gap a little bit more. They've dropped off into the 45s and 46s. The tyre temps are sky high. The body is screaming at you. Let me rest. I need to breathe. But with 4 laps to go, it's a matter of willpower to push on and keep these karts at speed. And Nick Middick is doing the best of it right now. He is opening up this gap over Sam Dicker. And I'm sure many people would have looked up and seen Sam 2 seconds up the road in the opening stages of the race and gone, you know what, I can't catch him. As the battle's further behind, Shu, Papa Sergio, and William now all fighting it out for those remaining places. Tommy Shu feeling like a bit of a lone soldier as he's got Damon Papa Sergio hot on his heels in the fight for third. Tommy doing everything he can to fight it out. It's like a fight between the second and the number 2 drivers in the teams. It's still a flat-out karts willpower machine versus a BRM machine. But this time, it's not the fight for the lead, it's the fight for third. And that last step on the podium between Shu and Papa Sergio. Meanwhile, out front, Middick still leads over Dicker by 0.5 second. As Middick drags it down the line, 3 laps to go, and the gap stays even. 0.5 second the gap now. 0.513 to be exact here between Middick and Dicker. They're starting to open up the lines around the corners. They're starting to run out of forward bite on the tyres. And now you change how you drive the kart. You're no longer squirting it between corners, but now you're just trying to be as gentle as you can to the tyre, so you don't absolutely torch them and fall off the edge of the cliff on pace in these final few laps here. Meanwhile, trying to think about your opposition, trying to think about conserving your body, trying to think about what you're going to say on the top step when you accept your check for your share in $6 grand tonight here at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. 1 to run. Last time across the line. This is the final lap here in KZ2, brought to you by Terra Mining, and Nick Middick is 1/2 a lap away from hoisting the check tonight here in Kalgoorlie. Down towards Patrizzi for the final time. He caught Sam Dicker to the tune of 2 seconds over the last 24 laps of racing. He closed him down. He made it happen. And now he leads away. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Nick Middick wins KZ2 here at the Dash for Cash for his share of $6,000 of prize money. Sam Dicker home in second, and Thomas Chu gets it on the podium in third. Damon Papa Sergio in fourth, and Jason Lecoq rounds out your top 5 tonight here in KZ2, brought to you by Terra Mining. to go. It's burnouts time here in Kalgoorlie. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Your top three out for some expression and out to celebrate tonight here in Kalgoorlie.
Chris, your life.
Sam Dick is still going out of the in-grid. Nick Middick, let's get your helmet off, mate. Get your gear off. We want to talk about this one before Sam Dicker runs over our cameras. Nick Middick, now tell me, the start didn't quite all go your way. You look up the road and you see Sam 2 seconds down the road and you think there's no way I can catch him. What was going through your mind on lap 2?
Honestly, it was a bit of like Bunbury flashbacks. Sam's up the road and I have to hunt him down the whole race, so he made it real hard. I love racing against all these boys, but yeah, made it happen in the end. It wasn't easy. When I got there, I sort of dropped off my pace a little and I made it real hard, but got it done in the end, so just happy to be doing donuts.
Happy to be doing donuts. Congratulations. You claim your share in $6 grand of prize money tonight in Kalgoorlie. Who do you have to thank?
Oh, big thanks to Jason Priolo from BRM Karts Australia. He does so much for us, me and Tom, and yeah, that team's real good fun to be a part of. So thanks, Jason. Thanks, BRM. And thanks, Jesper, Tom's dad, for helping us all weekend. Otherwise, we would have been stuffed without him.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Nick Middick, your KZ2 winner tonight here in Kalgoorlie. Sam Dicker, come on down, mate. Is it puffed out after that one? Sam, so many laps of leading that one, but you look over your shoulder. You knew Nick was coming that whole time. Surely you could tell. Did you have any plan for when he arrived on your scene?
I was going to try to keep it covered, which is a bit easy to do in KZ, but he just had the pace over us today. I think we did a good job from where we were. Maybe if I was a bit fitter and wasn't puffing like this, we would have been all right, but no, Nick did an awesome job, stupid quick, so it was great to have a good race. I thought I could come back at him at the end. Made a few errors, but just not quite enough.
Not quite enough, mate, but congratulations. Second place tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Sam Dicker, second tonight here in KZ2. Tommy Shue, come on down, mate. Tommy Shue, come on down. Mate, it was hard fought in that one. You were looking over your shoulder, watching them coming at you. Did you think you could hang on and be on the podium tonight?
Yeah, look, we had a really strong day, and coming into the shootout, we're hoping for a bit better, but we started out at P5 for that one, managed to get a good start and didn't get caught up in too much stuff, got into third nice and early. Got the gap, but then, yeah, just didn't quite have it tonight in the final. Behind me, they were catching me, and yeah, I was under pressure. I started making some mistakes. It was a real pressure drive, 25 laps. It's a long time to be out there in these karts. But yeah, stoked to bring it home third place.
Great stuff. To bookend the podium with BRM Karts, who do you have to thank for tonight?
Massive thanks to Jason. He couldn't make it here today, but the amount of effort he puts in behind the scenes is just crazy. Adrian Fogliani for all his help getting my kart ready for me whilst I was at work. Flat out, B-Sport. Obviously Dad just like, he's always here, been here forever, and always gives me a hand, doesn't matter what it's with, he's always there with me.
That's the way, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together. Tommy Shu, third place tonight here in KZ2 at the Eastern Goldfields Kart Club. That is a wrap for tonight's racing program. The Saturday program, the Terra Mining Dash for Cash, is run and done. We are back tomorrow morning from about 8 o'clock. We'll be live on 4-Star Media for all the finals of the other 8 classes due to run and fight it out for their share of all the prize money up for grabs this weekend. For everyone watching live online and joining us for 4-Star Media's broadcast of the Dash for Cash, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.